Okay, guys, do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so before we start a session, let's get into the little bit history of ServiceNow. And I will see how ServiceNow has started and how it has evolved over the years. Okay, I mean it's always a good idea to know uh, the company that we're going to learn one of its products. Okay, so when you look at this company, it was started in the year 2004 by a guy called, Fred Luddy. So there used to be another company called, guys, could you please mute yourself? I hear the echo. Thank you. Okay, so there used to be one more company called Remedy Corp, and they had a product, the ITSM product called ARS, Action Request System, and this was a bit popular in the 90s, and in the year 1998, this company was acquired by BMC, and since then the ARS has been popularized as BMC Remedy. Okay, so while this company, Remedy Corp, was acquired by BMC, Fred Luddy used to be CTO for this company, Remedy Corp. So when Remedy Corp was acquired by BMC in the 1998, Fred Luddy had come out, and in the year 2004, he established with this company called ServiceNow with a couple of his other friends. And when it was started, it was named as GlideSoft Inc. Okay, and in the year 2006, the GlideSoft Inc. had been renamed as ServiceNow. Okay, and from the year 2011, they started versioning their product. Okay, and they would like to call all the versions as the families. So ServiceNow doesn't like to call the version as version. They like to call it as family. And when they started versioning the products, they started follow the specific naming convention. So they started naming the product as after popular cities in the globe, across the globe. So when the first product was released, first product was versioned, it was named as Aspen, and they follow the alphabetical order. Okay, and the next product which was released, the major release, named as Berlin, followed by Calgary, then we have Dublin, Eureka, Fuji, then we have Geneva. With H, they had Helsinki, then Istanbul. After Istanbul, Jakarta, and they recently released the Kingston. Okay, so every year they have two major releases. So the major releases are nothing but the complete new product. Okay, so every year they have the two releases, two families released. So every 6 months, one major release, and every month they release the patches, the minor releases, and which can be considered as the patches to the existing product, existing version. Okay, so the latest product which has been recently released is the Kingston. Okay, guys. So yes, this is a bit about the ServiceNow's history. Now let's And since ServiceNow initially built on the ITIL standards, we'll just go ahead and look into the ITIL the introduction. We'll see what is the ITIL, how it started, and what are the different modules we have in the ITIL. Okay, so when you look at the ServiceNow's one of the capabilities, they have multiple modules, and the popular module is the ITSM. And this ITSM is primarily built on the ITIL standards, and ITSM has got different modules. So the modules which come under ITSM are incident management, problem management, change management, we have knowledge management, followed by asset management. Then we have a service catalog. Okay, so of these modules, now the incident, change, problem, these are the primary modules. Okay, but these are completely, all the modules are completely built on the ITIL. So we'll just go ahead and see what is the ITIL, and besides these modules, do we have any other modules existing in the ITIL? But we primarily focus on these three. We'll try understanding the incident, then the problem, followed by the change. Okay. Any questions, guys? Okay, so as we discussed the other day as part of a demo, the ITIL was introduced by a company called CCTA, which was owned by the UK Office of Commerce. So later that was acquired by, later that was acquired by a joint venture between the UK government and the Capita, I suppose. Okay, so there's a company called Capita and the UK government. So these two now own a company called Axelio, okay, and which is owning the ITIL. So when say it's owning, to implement the ITIL best practices, you don't, you're not charged. See, the only thing that is charged is the books. If you want to buy the printed books of the ITIL, and the certifications. So those two things are controlled by the Axelios. But if you want to adopt the ITIL best practices, yes, you can certainly go ahead and do that, and there is no charge for it. So ITIL was introduced in the year 1998, and when it was introduced, they had 32 books. Each book talking about one particular module. And in the year, sorry, this is 1988. And in the year 1998, they replaced all these 32 books, and they introduced 18 books. And these books were grouped under, categorized based on two things. Okay. Categorized based on service delivery and service operations. Okay, and since the framework of the ITIL books is changed in the year 1998, this is called ITIL V2. Okay, and then later in the year 2007, these 18 books completely taken off, and they introduced the Lifecycle modules. So that they introduced Lifecycle. Now, all the books have been categorized. All the modules are grouped together, and they have been categorized under the 5 different life cycle stages of ITIL, and they are majorly The first thing is service strategy, followed by we have service design, then we have service transition, service operation, then we have continual service improvement, which is called CSI. And these three things covers the entire life cycle of the IT. So if you're establishing any company, so it's that starts with the your strategy, your planning. Strategy is nothing but the planning. And in the design stage, this is where actual coding takes place. You start building your systems, you start coding, you do all the development activities. So the first one, the strategy, is nothing but the planning stage. Okay, then we have the coding, and in the transition, whatever the code that we have developed, and we transition into the production, transition the code into the production, or move the code into the production. And when it is in the production, that is what we call as the operation. So once it moved to the production, now we continuously look for the improvements. So no matter how good your IT is, there are still chances for the improvement. So that's what the CSI talks about. Okay. So of the again in the year, since the complete framework of ITIL has been changed in the year 2007. This is called ITIL version V3. Okay, and in the year 2011, again these guys added some new modules to the existing 5 stages to the existing modules. So the framework hasn't been changed. It still remained the life cycle stages, the 5 life cycle stages. But however, they have added some new modules like finance, management, and a couple of other things to the existing list of modules. This is called ITIL V3 2011. Okay, since the base hasn't been changed, the base is 5 stages, 5 life cycle stages, and the 5 life cycle stages have remained same. So that's the reason the versioning of the product hasn't been changed. It's still called as the V3, but however, it's a V3 2011. Okay, so this is the latest ITIL framework, guys. And one more thing, the ITIL, it's always called as a framework. The only reason we call it as a framework is it says it comprises the best practices, and if you think these best practices are not benefiting your organization, you can certainly go ahead and alter those best practices. Since these best practices can be altered, we call it as a framework. Okay. So when it comes to the ITIL. The ITSM product suite, it primarily has the incident management, followed by problem management, followed by the change management. So these are the 3 primary modules. So we'll try and see where exactly these modules fit into these 5 life cycle stages. Okay, so the incident management is part of the service operations. Problem management is also part of the service operations, and the change management is part of the service transition. Okay, so now we'll just look into each and every these things, and we'll try understanding what is an incident, what is a problem, and what is a change. Okay, guys. Yeah. Any questions? Guys, you can stop me in case if you have any questions. Okay, so first just look into the incident. So what do you understand by the word incident, by the term called incident? Anyone? Is anybody who is already working? Mm-hmm. Okay, so incident, as for the ITIL terminology, incident is nothing but the disruption or degradation of any service is called as incident. Okay, so it says the disruption or degradation of any service is called incident. So let's try understanding what is this service that they are talking about. So which service? Any clue? So if you take the organization has multiple departments. So we have the HR department, we have facilities department, and we have the IT department, we have finance, whatnot. One organization can have multiple departments. So when the organization has the multiple departments, every department has some or the other services offered to its internal employees. So we have the HR department, which offers the what are the services that are offered by the HR department, guys? Benefits one gets the from the organization, and your attendance management, your performance, your appraisals. Okay, then whatnot. There are a couple of things which are offered by the HR department. And similarly, we have the finance department, which offers some services to its employees. Okay, and similarly, we have the IT department, which offers some services to its employees. So what are the services which are offered by the IT department? Is there any suggestions? I mean, any clues? So, when you are working for the organization, you certainly imagine, you cannot imagine somebody working without a laptop or the desktop. The basic requirement is a computer. And there is a service which is provided by the IT department. And, the service that we are using to communicate with each other is it's like the telephonic service or the meeting service, the one which we currently using. There is also a service which is provided by the IT. You have your telecom services, your Outlook services, any application services that you're using, and your desktop services. Any IT related services provided by the any IT related services which is provided by the IT department. So when we talk about the service in the incident definition, so it talks about the services which are offered by the IT department to its internal employees. So those services are nothing but it can be the your desktop laptop or the desktop, or your telephone services, many other things. Suppose you have a laptop. Now we have one of the business users who is currently using a laptop, and when the laptop is available, the primary purpose of the laptop is to work. So this guy should be able to log into the laptop and continue with his routine. And one day, if he's not able to log into the regular service, the regular service was to allow him to log into the laptop and continue working, him to log into the machine. So that is nothing but a disruption to the service which is provided by the IT department. So that can be considered as an incident. Okay, so it's not necessarily disruption to the service if there is a degradation in the service. Suppose you're providing some application, the internal application to the IT employees, and the application, if it is loading too slow, that is but still customers are able to log into the application and continue their work, but the performance has been completely degraded. I mean, if the application is completely slow, even that slowness can be considered as the incident. Okay, so it's not always a disruption. It also, the degradation in the service which is provided by the IT can also consider as the incident. Is that clear, guys? Guys, I certainly would like to hear something from you. I mean, Kiranmai?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, perfect. So that's what the incident definition, guys. So when we talk about the incident definition, we'll just go ahead and see the incidents we have in the incident life cycle. Okay, so the incident life cycle is nothing but when it starts and when it ends. So any incident starts with the report. Okay, if we have one of the users and if he's experiencing any issues, and unless he reports that issue to the IT department, the incident cannot start. Okay, so that's the reason the incident report is the first life cycle stage. Once it is reported, it is categorized, diagnosed and categorized. Okay, categorized, diagnosed. Then we have also one of the life cycle stages followed by closure. Okay, so these are the 5 different life cycle stages of incident. Now we'll see the terms which are frequently used in the incident management. So let's open the incident form. Incident form is the terms are frequently used in called the category. So this will help us to identify what are the issues which are reported frequently. that can be done by prioritizing the incidents. So priority plays a primary role in identifying the immediate attention. Okay, identifying the issues which requires the immediate attention. So the priority is always calculated based on the impact on the urgency. Okay, so it cannot be. So you cannot say the priority cannot be always categorized only based on the applications, which might be used by the wider range of the people, but the impact of that application not being working might be very less. So that's the reason that might not be given the highest priority. And there might be some applications which are used a very less number of the people, but at the same time, it might have got a huge impact on the business. Okay, and those applications will be certainly given the highest priority. Okay. Hello? Yes, I just don't understand, where am I getting this echo from? Mute everything. Okay, I will try to live it with it. So the impact and the urgency, which helps us to identify the priority or calculate the priority. Okay. So next, what we have the assignment group, and the assignment group is nothing but the team which is owning this particular incident. Okay, and assigned to is somebody from this assignment group who might be owning this incident. Okay, it's better. So what are the other things that you think which are used in frequently in incident? Okay, so these are the only things, guys, which are used frequently: the categorization and the prioritization. Priority is always calculated based on the impact on the urgency and the category, which helps us to identify the pain areas of the system. Okay. Yeah. So that's what we have for the incident management. Any questions, guys, on the incident management?
No.
Okay, perfect. So the next, we have the problem management. So any ideas? What is a problem?
Maybe based on the incident, what kind of issues have been raised in the application?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we need to understand, we have a different terms for the incident and we also have a term for the problem. So when we are using incident and a problem separately, so definitely there is a difference between these two things. Though the difference is very minute. Okay, so according to the ITIL, the problem is nothing but a unknown cause of, it says unknown cause of, the important thing that we forgot is the goal of incident management, guys. Goal of incident management. So the goal of incident management is to restore the service as soon as possible and ensure the impact on the business is minimized. Okay, so if you have any user reporting any issues, we at least, I mean, as part of the incident management, the IT help desk should be able to, the IT help desk never focuses on the cause of any incident. Suppose somebody reporting an issue stating not able to log into the laptop. And we know the best troubleshooting for most of the issues are restarting the machine. And if restarting the machine has been fixed, restarting the machine has resolved the user to log into the machine, then the incident management's job ends there itself. It doesn't bother or it doesn't worry about identifying the why the incident actually, why the laptop didn't allow the user to log him in first. Okay, so as long as you make sure that the user is able to continue with his routine, the incident management has nothing to do with the cause. So the primary objective of the incident management is to ensure the service is restored as soon as possible. So the service that you provide, the resolution that you provide, that need not to be a permanent solution. Okay, so as long as you make sure that the user logs in and continues with its job, that ends, there ends the incident management job. So incident management always focuses only on restoring the service. It doesn't worry about the identifying the root causes. Okay, so when it comes to the problem is defined as unknown cause of one or more incidents. Okay, so when we are talking about the unknown cause, so if you look at this, the example that we have discussed, if any user not able to log into the laptop and you restarted the laptop, and when you restart, the user might be able to log into the laptop. But in the first place, why the system didn't allow the user to log him in, isn't it? So that is where the problem management focuses. So the primary objective of the problem management is to identify the root causes, whereas the incident management's objective is to restore the service. Okay, so unknown cause is called as the problem, guys. So when you say you have a problem, that means you have an incident which doesn't have the known cause. Okay, so any unknown cause of it can be one or the more incidents that can be considered as the problem. Unknown cause of one or more incidents called as the problem, and problem management always focuses on identifying the root causes. Okay, and then when you look at the what we call the frequent terms, the terms which are used frequently in the problem are, first one is the known error. So known error, if you look at the ServiceNow's terminology, we have a defect, I suppose. ServiceNow has released its product, or it's a new family, the Kingston. And after this release, the customer started experiencing some issue in incident management module. And this issue is already being worked on. If the issue is already known to the ServiceNow and they are working on it to fix it. Okay, so any issues which are already known to the vendor and being worked on are known as the known errors. So being the ServiceNow users, or being the company which is implemented the ServiceNow, we have nothing to do with the known errors. So known errors are pertaining to the vendor. So vendor already knows the error and is trying to fix that error in its next release, or in its next minor release, which is a patch. Okay, so all the known errors, if there is already a known error, there is nothing much we as the administrators can do, because the error is something from the ServiceNow itself. Okay, the error is directly from the ServiceNow itself, and ServiceNow already knows it. Okay, so that's the known error. And next we have something called workaround. Workaround is a temporary solution, guys. Okay, so every time the user not able to log into the laptop, we know that is there is a problem. The users are not able to log into the laptop, but we also have the temporary solution for this. So every time any user reports the issue stating not able to log into the laptop, we know the temporary solution is restarting the machine. So restarting the machine has been allowing the users to log into the machine, but we are still not able to find the exact cause of the users are not able to log into the laptop in the first instance. Okay, so being when the problem is raised, one team will work on identifying the root cause of this particular incident. And while we are working on finding the root cause, we also have a temporary solution in place. So the temporary solution that we provide to the customers is called as the workaround. Okay, any questions, guys? Okay, perfect. So this is these are the couple of things that we use frequently in problem management. So the problem management always focuses on identifying the root cause. Okay, it doesn't care about the restoring the services. So restoring the services is taken care by the incident management, and problem management focuses on identifying the root causes of the incidents. Okay. Next we have the change management. So let's understand what is the change. So if you're working on the end machines, I mean, end machines are nothing but the laptop or the desktop, and by which, if you make any changes to your laptop, how many users do you think will be impacted? It's certainly one user, because only one user can use the laptop at a time. Okay, so the user who currently logged in will be impacted if we make any changes to the laptop. But if you have any application or any server, okay, we have one SAP application. So this is the SAP server, suppose. And if we make any changes, and this is already in the production, this is a live system. And if we make any changes to this SAP server, which is a live system, how many users do you think will have the impact? It's certainly the number of users impacted are very high.
Yes.
Okay, depending on the company size. Okay, so when you're making any changes to the live system, and thus changes has the major impact on the production, those things are called the changes. So it can be you adding some server, it can be you restarting the service. Even when you restart the service, not the server, but at least the service on the service of this particular server, of particular application, even that can be considered as a change. Restarting this, since restarting this will have the impact on the users or impact on the production system, so certainly that also can be considered as a change. Okay, and besides this, if you're releasing, this SAP has released a newer version, and if you're trying to upgrade your version, even that is a change, because whatever you do, that is having the impact on the live system. Okay, and when it has an impact, the number of users impacted are certainly going to be more. So any changes that you make, those things are called as the changes, and the primary objective of the change management is to control the changes which are being executed on the production systems. Okay, so if somebody is trying to upgrade the version, so we need to have some steps. So change management will define some steps, and the team, which is upgrading this version, this product, they have to follow those steps before they make any changes on the production system. Okay, so they might have something like, have they already, first, they need to upgrade their version in the non-production systems, such as development or the QA systems, and then the business owners of the applications have to be informed, and they also need to approve it. Okay, and we need to foresee there will be, will there be any any issues in case if you don't upgrade. So what are the other impact when we upgrade it? What are the benefits that we are going to get as part of this upgrade? Okay, so there are some predefined processes, which are completely owned by the change management. So whenever any team which planning to make any changes on the production systems, they need to follow some guidelines and the steps, processes and the procedures implemented by the change management team. Okay, so the objective of the change management to ensure the changes which are being implemented in the production systems are very well known, and at the same time they are controlled. So they just don't want any change to be implemented in the production system. So any change which is being implemented, that is very well tested and approved. Okay, only the tested changes which are tested in advance and or approved will be implemented in the production systems. Okay, So the change, when we talk about the terms which are used in the change, we have something called CAB. It's called as the Change Advisory Board. Which comprises of application owners and the change manager and the application owners, or we also call them as the business stakeholders. So they are the one who review the changes. So if you are the Windows team, the Intel team, and you want to make some changes to your server, the server which you own, but even you own this particular server, and if you need to make the changes, you need to present those changes to the CAB. So in most of the organizations, the CAB meeting happens once in a week. So all the technical teams have to present their changes to the CAB, and the CAB has to approve those changes. Okay, so there are certain changes which cannot be, which need not the approvals from the CAB, that we'll discuss in a bit. Okay, so when we talk about the changes, we have three different types of changes. So we have normal change, emergency, and we have standard changes. The standard changes are the low impact changes, and these are the regular changes, low impact and the regular changes, which has no impact or the minimal impact on the business. Okay, emergency change, suppose we have a application which is completely went down. The SAP server completely went down and it is not accessible to any users. So since the system is completely down, we need to make changes to make the system up and running. Something like restarting the service or restarting the server. So this is the emergency changes are always the fixes. Okay, so these emergency changes are implemented immediately. If you have the priority 1 incident, and in order to restore the service, you just need to restart the server. Okay, so that for restarting the services or the server, there is the emergency change. Okay, and then we have the normal changes. Normal changes are the planned changes, like you're upgrading your version or adding some new features to the existing system. So those are the normal changes, and the normal changes, they needs to be presented to the CAB and they have to be approved. Okay, so any questions, guys?
No,
okay, perfect.
No.
Okay, guys. I think that is enough for the day. We have just covered the introduction to the ITIL primary modules, and from tomorrow we will start the ServiceNow. We'll start with the introduction to the UI, and then we'll move on. As we go forward.
Can we download the tool? Is that possible?
Oh, I'm sorry, can we?
Download the tool?
Oh, download the tool. All you need to do is, it's since it's a cloud-based application, you need to go to developer.servicenow.com. So there is a website called developer.servicenow.com, and you have to register yourself. Once you register, you can request for the instance. So you need not to download it. No, it can be accessed by the internet. Okay. Okay, yeah, no problem. Any other questions, guys?
No, it's good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, guys, we'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you for your time.
Same time?
Have a good evening. Yeah, same time.
Okay, perfect. Catch you tomorrow. Bye.
Okay then. Thank you. Bye-bye.